Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe below and click the playlist button for more Rooted videos. And a big thank you to our sponsor, Brightbound, for supporting this conversation. Brightbound is reimagining career readiness, helping middle and high school students explore their passions, try out career paths, and make confident decisions about their future.
Pharrell, Kendrick, and just like some of those big cultural moments that could have happened that did happen.
And for me, for like better or worse, like growing up as an only child, watching award shows in my parents' living room is like one of the reasons I am a music journalist today. I think that as I've gotten older, it's been hard to have like a real faith in an institution like the Recording Academy. But my friend Jewel Wicker, who's also an entertainment journalist based out of Atlanta, was like, you know what? Like I fall for the propaganda every year. Like the magic, seeing all these different artists in one place, seeing them celebrate each other. And I mean, I wrote SZA's Grammy cover story for Rolling Stone, and she's like, we're all just in there wanting validation. And I think that even we heard people say that last night. I think Sabrina Carpenter in her performance was like, did you come here for a little validation? So I feel like the artists are getting more vulnerable and more real about, you know, the tension of what it's like to be in that room.
And Jeneé, tell me why does the validation of the Grammys still matter?
So I struggle with the idea of validation very, very much. It's the same thing with like when people used to go crazy about the blue check marks on Twitter and Instagram, etc. Like, I don't know that it's necessarily like we don't need the government to tell us we're black and beautiful. We know we're black and beautiful, but we do need laws and systems to register our humanity. And I think, and this is kind of a wonky parallel, but I'm going to make it anyway. I just
Go
think
for
for
it.
artists, I think for artists right now, particularly in this moment, arts have always mattered. Arts will always matter. Arts is one of the foremost ways to tell the story of our humanity, to bridge gaps amongst our multiple communities and identities. It always has been. The government has known this acutely from the beginning. They used to use arts and propaganda to disparage various people that they were going against. And right now, we're watching the government tear down the arts, take over the Kennedy Center, close the Kennedy Center, try to put names that don't belong on the Kennedy Center, mess up the Smithsonian, mess up our museums, mess up our arts and humanities funding. So for me, at this juncture, whether we used to not care or care about this stuff at all, right now it is important to care. It is important that we see multi-generational, multi-ethnic, multi-diasporic acts be celebrated and have these platforms to get across these messages and to take that space and say arts matter, period. So I think that for me is what this moment is about. It's less about validation and more about getting the platform and getting the messaging across and solidifying why we care so much, why we care so much about the music, why we care so much about these arts.
And that was so evident, right, with Bad Bunny winning Album of the Year, first Spanish language album for a Spanish language artist to win in this category. And this was huge because it's an album that I loved, so many people love, even though you may not be a Spanish speaker, right? But we could all understand that language of resistance. And he was right on the nose. Starting his speech with saying, "Ice out." Mankaprr,
Yes.
why was it so important for that message to come across in a moment like this?
I think it was especially, so there are layers to this, right? It's like, you know, like we've all spent the week watching tens of thousands of Minnesotans march and demonstrate and protest for the safety of their multicultural community. We've watched journalists Georgia Fort and Don Lemon get arrested for covering these protests. There is, like Jeneé is saying, there is a state effort to silence protests and resistance right now, particularly around immigration enforcement, which we're really just seeing as an evolution of violent policing, period, right? Because it's not even just people who might not have a documentation or people who are people of color who are like now coming under this violence that activists, especially black activists, have been fighting for the past decade in a really prominent way in pop culture, in a way that has like raised the generation of thinkers. But I also think it's really important to hear this from Bad Bunny because he's about to be the first Spanish language performer at the Super Bowl to perform entirely in Spanish. And to be honest, when that choice was made and when it was announced, especially after him saying, "I'm not going to tour in the U.S. because of immigration policy," I was a little concerned. I was like, so what does this platform mean? What changed? Is this a capitalist choice, or is this a means of of making the biggest statement that you can with this platform. And so I think a week ahead of that show, for him to say point blank, "Ice out," was a really, really important precedent for whatever we're about to see.
Oh yeah, I think we all have a lot to look forward to. Never mind the Pats and the Seahawks being in the Super Bowl. Bad Bunny is in the Super Bowl.
I was never concerned about his choice. I knew if he was making that choice, it was for like reasons of resistance and platform and making sure the resistance was on that platform.
1000%. Now, speaking of music as a language of resistance, we know that Kendrick Lamar's album GNX won Best Rap Album of the Year. He also picked up a number of other Grammys. Jeneé even beating out your hometown heroes, Malice and Pusha T of Clips, for Best Rap Song with TV Off. But, I mean, there was so much great music, right? So I think everybody kind of won. But I am curious, you know, what statement did Kendrick make for the night, given that he had such a big year in 2024 and 2025?
I mean, he didn't just have just a big year. Kendrick just ousted Jay-Z as like
yes,
most Grammy, like
multiple new
records. Like Bad Bunny made history, Olivia Dean made history, Kendrick made. There's a lot of history made last night. And I think one of the beautiful things about Kendrick is we saw over and over him holding space for lesser known artists to come up on stage and accept their awards and have that platform. And I think that's really special for him to do, to take moments like this on a night like that and kind of pull back and say, let these other people have this platform. Let these other people do the thing. I also liked how he went up there and kind of, also for what it's worth, I wanted I love Clips, and if they would have won, I would have been very happy because Virginia forever. But I actually really wanted Kendrick to get this award for a multitude of reasons, both petty and prominent.
It's a long game.
It's a long game, but I think I love how laissez-faire he was, and he was just like, as always, this is hip hop. As always, this is what we do, and we're gonna always be here. So it was like this very like, whether we win or not, we're gonna always be here. Yes, this moment matters. I'm gonna share this platform, but this is who we are. This is what we do. What up, Push? What up? What up, Malice? What up, Tyler? Watching them all kind of use their space differently, even down to Tyler, who also could have easily won Album of the Year because that album is one of the best of the last 10 years. But watching Tyler show his multitudes as he performed, going from one album to the next, from one character to the next, like there was a time when they really never thought hip hop would take it this far. That quote is so real. Like
the category was just added in 1989.
And they used to not televise it. And we have 50-year-olds winning. We have 52-year-olds winning. We are now reaching that arc where you cannot deny the genre. Like all the other genres have long had 80-year-olds and 60-year-olds. We are now reaching that arc where we have 52-year-olds and 50-year-olds winning alongside of very young artists. And it's really important. It's important not to miss those moments of that, like, the genre is solidifying, it's growing, it's showing that it's staying, it's not going away.
And Mankaprr, do you think that the Grammys has really caught up to that fact, or are they just doing it for the views and the likes?
I think it's a little bit of both. Like, I think that there are artists that are truly advocating for better representation and recognition within that space, because it's not just about like having your face on TV. It's like the type of money you can bring in as an artist. And when we look at an artist like Bad Bunny, what does he do with his money? Put up a 31-date residency in Puerto Rico that added $40 million or $400 million to the economy, is what they said during the broadcast last night. And so I think that for a lot of people, it's not just like we were talking about earlier about the validation of your artistry, although we know artists are sensitive people and they're sensitive about their, but it's about what they can do and what they can build for the communities that they're a part of, with the accolades and opportunities that come with a place being on a stage like the Grammys. And I do think, like, I watched the Grammys with my 14-year-old little cousin. It was the first time she had ever seen the broadcast, ever.
Really?
Ever.
What'd she think?
She was bored for a lot of it. She only enjoyed Tyler. She thought Tyler should have won over Kendrick in every instance in which they were competing against each other. But it's like she doesn't remember Macklemore Gate. She doesn't remember what it took for Kendrick Lamar to be the most Grammy-winning rapper of all time now. And so I think that there is a push for relevance. There was this weird message at the end of the Grammys. I don't know if they do it every year, where they were like, "Thank you CBS for a certain number of years of like partnership." And I know the Oscars, I believe, are moving to YouTube and
Yes.
their next broadcast. And I'm like,
In March.
the Recording Academy should consider something like that, because I think the people that they want to reach do not have Paramount Plus. They're not streaming.
Period.
CBS, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
To be honest, I don't know if they'll even watch it if it's on YouTube though. Like they don't care. I was just speaking to about 100 students, and I asked them about a multitude of platforms that we came up with, including Complex, which I thought they would know because Instagram. None of them follow Complex on Instagram. So I'm like, even if the Grammys does move, I'm like, I'm not sure what can be done to sort of jolt that. Because even me in my big old age, I had it on, but I was mostly watching it through Instagram and like
Right?
catching
Or
like what I
threads
wanted
and
to
catching the
catch, what I
commentary.
cared about, and then like if I needed to go rewind a speech, then I would be like, okay, let me go like I want to hear what this person's saying. But and I've been like that for a long time, and I'm someone who came in the business as a music critic first before I have gone on to what I've gone on to do. So I used to literally be like, and now I'm even me. I'm like,
It's not as much of a draw. But I mean, for the artist, like I'm just thinking about Duran Bernard and how
yes,
excited he was to win that Grammy, which for any artist, I mean, whether you're winning your first one or you're winning your 10th, right? I imagine there's still an excitement there. But do you think that the excitement for the Grammys as a whole is more within the industry now than it is within the culture?
I would definitely say so. And I think the other thing, Jeneé, as I listen to you talk about your relationship with the Grammys over the years as well, one thing I remember the year that Renaissance was up for Album of the Year. And I was doing a broadcast with Rolling Stone, like on Twitch, like a pre show kind of talking. And I was like, if Beyonce doesn't win this, this is a huge blow to the credibility of this institution. And we have seen losses like this over and over across my lifetime. And so I think part of it is like technology, what the kids are into, attention spans, etc. But I do also think the academy has done itself a disservice by constantly devaluing Black art and the art of artists of color to a point where you have to question the legitimacy of the body. And so I think that there's us who grew up with this, who like now have different relationship with it, and like many institutions that we become a part of as we get older and become a part of these industries. And then there are like younger folks where it's like the people that they care about are not really there. Monoculture is dying, right? Like we're not going to have stars like Beyonce or even Kendrick moving forward. Bad Bunny. I mean, I think like for the Super Bowl example, Bad Bunny was the only choice because we're running out of monocultural celebrities who could command a stage like that.
Yeah, and not to mention, some of the top streaming artists on Spotify are actually AI robots.
yeah.
So who's gonna show up? Who's gonna pick up the award? A hologram?
They're gonna project it. They're gonna do the hologram thing.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, 100%. And Mankaprr, I think what you're also getting at is like the Grammys put on this really interesting show, but not as many people were watching it as have in years past. And also, it's kind of like this is the show that they should have done 10 years ago. You know?
Yeah,
Very much
exactly,
so.
Exactly.
Very much so. It's like I love to see it, and I'm not gonna ever pretend like these prizes don't matter. That would be like one of us saying we don't care, we don't really care about the Pulitzer, but if we
win, we're gonna be there.
things, we grew up with these things, they still matter. It doesn't make you any more or less valid, but they still they carry something to us the way they do for these musicians. But this should have happened a long time ago. Like there's so many. It's not just Macklemore Gate. It's not just like when Adele went over Beyond. There's so many instances dating back to the '80s that this has been an issue, and I don't want to say too little, too late. I want to say like technology, audience, what Mankaprr was saying, like things have changed so much. And it's not even just the Grammys. It's like the Super Bowl, for instance, it's not like these things are not things that everyone is just like married to the way they used to be.
Now, I do want to talk about the Grammys. The Recording Academy did make some adjustments to its voting body, adding 3,800 new members, 58% of whom are people of color. I believe 50% who are under the age of 40, 35% women. Was what we saw last night a reflection of that, Mankaprr?
I think the biggest demographic change that it's a reflection of is I was just reading that the members of the Latin Recording Academy were invited to vote this year. And so I think that, like, trying to posit like a correlation between Bad Bunny's win and that demographic change is very easy. I mean, on top of, like, Paris, you were saying, just like the widespread appeal of his album. And I think that there are other interesting changes that I think were made that, like, maybe aren't as, like, flashy as the numbers, is also they've gone through a renewal process. So if you haven't renewed your membership in many, many years, you're required to do that. So that I think the issue with the Grammys voting body is that it's always skewed older and white and male. And so I think that they're tackling that from many different fronts, and we're slowly seeing that. I think the number that is hard to find in, like, the 10 minutes that I just, like, tried to search for it, which is questionable to me, is, like, what are the actual standing demographics of the entire body right now? Like, every year they love to boast how many voting members they have. This year, I think the number was 15,000. But it's like, okay, how does not just the new class break down, but how does the total voting body break down? And that's what I'm really interested in seeing.
Yeah, and whether it's proportionate. Go ahead, Jeneé.
I was going to say, I think it's also partly how they've added so many independent artists. Like, we have artists here in Boston, like Lisa Bello and Oompa and a number of others. And I just think that's also, like, a number of local indie artists infused into the body. And I do think, quite frankly, that the young people, like, having a younger body matters. I think you can look at some of the wins, and I don't think that your little cousin is wrong. Like, Tyler could have won in any of those categories. Like, it was my favorite album last year. But I think just seeing Leon, seeing Duran Bernard, like, some of those, I just think that is a reflection of the younger body being there, a more diverse body being there. And I think we are going to have to dig harder to find the totality, and it's probably still really, really white, but they do know that they have to change. They do know that if they want to be relevant, they're going to have to adjust. And I think the statements made last night are not statements we haven't seen before. This is often when people take moments to take a stand. I really liked that Olivia Dean did it, and we expect some of the other people to say that. I think Olivia Dean taking her moment to say that as a British Black woman was really important, as someone who resonates with young people, resonates with older people, is intergenerational, but I think could be confused for safe. To actually take a stand. It said something that I think a lot of us, are not us on this call, but as I look at the coverage today, seems to be missing.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that Olivia, I'm just, gotten familiar with her this year. It's like, I think a lot of people have, and her music is brilliant, and it does this, like, very, old school thing that feels warm and retro and familiar. But also, her fighting against Ticketmaster price gouging for her massive tour.
Yes.
Like, I think that she is, like, slowly but surely, like, building, like, a pattern of, like, speaking her mind in a socio-political way. That I'm really enjoying seeing as well.
It's a sweet disruption, and I couldn't love it more. It's very much like when Adele said what she said about Beyonce should have got the prize, and I don't think they couldn't predict that was about to happen. And I'm just like, I love this. I love that it's coming from places where they don't typically expect it to come from.
Yeah,
which is what the music artistry is all about, right? It's like, I think 2 years ago, if someone said that a Spanish language album would win Best Album of the Year, you might have laughed, or someone might have laughed. I don't know if it would have been us, right? But we see now, if you are part of the culture, if you understand that, yes, like, Black music underscores what Bad Bunny did, he's paying homage to Black Puerto Rican history, then you understand how this came to be. And Mankaprr, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, just on this topic, like, I think Kehlani winning her first 2 Grammys after 10 years in the industry, from essentially being a teenager, and being told over and over again over the past 2 years that not only would her career end, but receiving threats to her life for advocating for, the freedom and rights of Palestinians in the onslaught of the Gazan war. Like, I think it was really important, and she said that herself. she said that herself, that like people need to see that your career will not end and that your life is not over if you choose to take a stand. And she on the carpet was making a similar case and saying like we're powerful in numbers here. We have to speak out against ICE as a body of entertainers and cultural workers in one room. We have to do that tonight. And I'm not saying that because Kehlani did it, everyone did it, but I do think that every time an artist can reach this caliber in their career and still maintain their popularity and still maintain all their resources, like that lets other people know that they can do it too. Because there's been a lot of fear, you know.
Well, yeah, and Kehlani's been doing it. Like that's been her whole. That's one of the things. No one can ever say she's not been 10 toes down.
Yeah, 100%. I'm with that. I'm curious because we know Nicki Minaj was not in the room. Trevor Noah made it very clear, and I don't think anybody was missing her.
Correct.
I am with Billy Porter. F her. As he said so eloquently.
But I would say, is Nicki often there? Like, I think Nicki has been ostracized from a lot of the industry for a very long time, and I think that, in addition to many other factors, is why we've seen her swing so hard right.
I mean, I think she also swings so hard right because as we've come to know, she isn't exactly fully documented according to a lot of. So some of this, I don't want to full go Billy Porter. I guess we should make some space for a little softness here, and I'm not going like, oh, Kanye, forgive her. Like it's not that, but I will say people do extreme things when they're trying to survive, and
you never know, right?
I mean, I think that for me, when I think about the catalyst for what we've seen of Nicki over the past year, is that she rightfully so had a lot of grievances about how she was treated in the industry, about being a part of a boys club, about the sexism she's faced, about not getting necessarily all the accolades and credit she deserved from the onset. But I think that she still she appears to still be in that mindset and has always struggled as, you know, this beautiful thing happened where her career opened the door for other folks like Cardi B, and then Cardi B's career opened the door for opened really the floodgates for women in rap. And I think that Nicki, we have not seen her embrace that change as positive.
No, it seems like she
the industry was set up that way though. The industry was set up until very recently, very much set up for there to just be one.
Facts.
And then I feel like even when Cardi came along, they were pivoting them against each other. Even before Nicki decided she was going to pivot, they had already pivoted them against each other. And then everyone just turned very quickly to like anti-Nicki. And then Nicki just started making more and more extreme choices that everyone had to be like, what are you doing? From who she married to like who she's protecting to all these things. And I don't want to get us too far off the Grammy track. It's just been very interesting to watch her Kanye like devolvement and self-destruction, and it's sad.
Yeah.
But I do wonder a lot about like decisions one makes when they think that there's only one route to survival.
Yeah, it could be some of that. And it, I mean, you know, I think that no one can take away the foundation she laid for women in rap, just as you're outlining. That will always be the case. And who knows, maybe we'll see her take out a full page ad in the years to come and apologize.
She wasn't missed last night, though. She was not missed.
But I'm shocked that I'm shocked that we're at a point in music where Nicki Minaj is the butt of a joke at the Grammys. I will say that. Like, I'm not against it, but I'm shocked that that's how things have evolved over the past 20 years.
No, to me, 2 years ago, if you would have told me Bad Bunny would win Album of the Year, I think I would have believed it. 5 years ago, I might not have believed it, but 2 years ago, I would have believed it. If you would have told me 2 years ago, this is who Nicki would be, I don't think I would have believed it. I think I would have, 2 years ago, I would have been like, you know, it's very unfortunate, her behavior that we've seen, but I still probably would have been holding out for some sort of upward pivot.
But I mean, I think to the point of the Grammys is like, and what we're seeing, especially with messages of resistance last night, it's like some people want to be closer to power, right? Like Kanye, Nicki, no matter what that power looks like. and then some people are willing to, you know, put things on the line to resist it. And I think that that's really important and inspiring.
100%. Now, we did see a couple posthumous tributes. One that was intended with D'Angelo and the beautiful tribute that was given for him. And then one that seemed, maybe it was off the cuff, maybe it just was poorly executed with Cher mistaking Luther Vandross for the song Luther, which won Record of the Year with Kendrick and SZA, and then, you know, it turned into this whole Luther Vandross love fest. But I think it's worth questioning, you know, because the Grammys has been around for a long time. There are these artists who maybe in their life weren't as celebrated by the Recording Academy, but are we celebrating them properly now with these tributes? Jeneé.
I think Mankaprr had.
Mankaprr, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I'd been thinking about and speaking recently about Fela Kuti's posthumous Lifetime Achievement Award, especially with the Grammys just having introduced an African performance category in 2024, I want to say. Mm-hmm. And he, you know, has never won a Grammy Award in his lifetime before he died. And, you know, any African pop artist, most African pop artists would say Fela Kuti is the blueprint, even if they're not necessarily following in his legacy as a staunch socio-political activist who really put his body and his family's bodies on the line to speak out against Nigeria's authoritarian government. I think it feels like what should happen. But I do often think that the choices that the Academy makes, right, is to correct past wrongs. Like, I think that part of, like, I think, for example, I keep going back to Macklemore Gate because it was so egregious. And since then, I don't know that Kendrick has lost any major category that he's competed in. And so I do think sometimes there is like a correction of the record that the Grammys is trying to do with awards like these. But I did think it was interesting that Cher got presented her Lifetime Achievement Award and Chaka Khan didn't, even though she was, of course, was a performer. But I'm like, she's there. And I think, you know, I think that the Grammys likes to do this like cross-generational, cross-genre thing, which is beautiful, you know, spirit of music, unity, all that. But I think that Chaka Khan also could have been an amazing presenter for that award, and also had the moment to have her contributions to American music at large recognized as well. It was just very strange. There were a lot of strange things that happened in that moment. But I mean, it was kind of cute. And I think we'll be laughing about that for many years to come. But a lot of strange choices have been made.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to give Cher too hard a time because she's literally going to be 80 in May. Like, and that's somebody we can't point at and say that she's been awful to us, because she hasn't. And Luther Vandross deserves all his moments. So
period. And Cheryl Lynn.
Yeah, and Cheryl Lynn. So anytime we can have to infuse him in by mistake or not, I appreciate. But what I will say is the D'Angelo, +1 to everything Mankaprr said, all facts. But I do want to talk about the D'Angelo Roberta Flack tribute, because it's one of the first times in a really long time that I felt like, okay, because I really was scared they was going to drag Jennifer Hudson out to turn it into a gospel medley. And I don't want more of that. Like, why? Like, I don't want any more of that. Like, why is it the same 3 people, and why do they turn their music into this medley that doesn't even sound like their music? I thought Lauryn Hill did an amazing job at, I don't know if she selected, I feel like she did, because Miss Hill does that. She's in charge. So I felt really good about the curation. I felt really good about the cross-generation infusion. It was just really beautiful to see, and I was really trying to think of the last time I saw a tribute at the Grammys that I felt, you know, like, good about. And then one more thing about Fela Kuti is, like, Alicia Keys, when she was touring for Songs in A Minor, which is when I was still a music critic, she was, to any person that interviewed her, she was bringing up Fela Kuti. So it just feels very much like if she was a Grammy darling. And I'm just like, yo, she had been very vocal about how she was listening to that, and it was informing her choices. So it's really interesting how things take so long and are always so overdue.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, 100%. Well, I guess water no get enemy, but maybe the Grammys made a few, but maybe won over some hearts as always. Not the heart of Mankaprr's 14-year-old cousin, but hopefully next year.
She had to leave. Her and her mom were visiting my family, and she was trying to get her mom to hold out for Tyler's performance, but of course they teased it like maybe 30 minutes before it happened. So she was like, fine, I'll watch it on YouTube tomorrow. So
yeah. Listen, the rest of us was looking for it on Instagram.
Exactly. If you didn't have Paramount Plus, what else was you gonna do?
It was on Instagram. Like, I was waiting for it to snow. I was like, I'm trying to see it snow.
And then clips made it snow. There you go. Oh, well, Jeneé and Mankaprrr, this has been so wonderful. Thank you both so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Protect the arts.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe below and click the playlist button for more Rooted videos. And a big thank you to our sponsor, Brightbound, for supporting this conversation. Brightbound is reimagining career readiness, helping middle and high school students explore their passions, try out career paths, and make confident decisions about their future.